Hello and good day to all friends. This is Mojtaba Rasti from the Thales team, and today, October 13th, 2025, I'm here with you to analyze Bitcoin using the Thales Market Screener tool. Please note that these analyses are for informational and educational purposes only, and if you use them to take positions in the market, the responsibility for any profits or losses will be entirely your own. Alright, we're on the 4-hour time frame as usual, so let's take a look at what's happened to the chart since yesterday. The upward move we were expecting happened up to around 115,000, and we even went higher, reaching about 116,000. Now we've stopped here, and at this point we're waiting to see if the price will move down from here. This upward move actually caused us to return inside this bullish range that we had drawn on the daily and weekly charts. As you can see here, it's very clear that we've come back inside this range, and today's candle on the daily chart is also visible. This is kind of, well, not exactly, but it's a doji candle so far, and there's a chance it will close as a doji as well. We might end up wasting some time in this area before we see a move to the downside. And if this doji closes, well, that's itself a sign of decreasing momentum in this candle, and we can expect to see a red candle to the downside tomorrow. Up to this point, we can say that this is basically a pullback to this trend line, which is around 112,000. And since this 112,000 is actually on this trend line, it's an important area. Now, if it holds as support here, it could actually set the stage for the price to, like you see here, move back inside this triangle, this move upward, and we could head toward the top of this wedge around 128, maybe even 130. Now, what I'm telling you could be a long-term analysis, possibly until the end of the month. Or if this 112,000 or 111,000 level doesn't hold as support, there's a good chance we could drop down to 106, 107, or even 105, these lower numbers. So we need to wait and see how this 111, 112 area actually behaves. In the current situation, as you can see, the RSI also has a bullish tilt. For now, we probably have liquidity up here around 16.15, and it could go a bit higher and then come back down. All these possibilities are on the table. In other words, this drop won't be a straight line. There could be a lot of liquidity hunting happening here before it moves downward. Let's move on to the market screener and take a look to see what's going on. Okay, the raw database. Let's apply the filters from today up to now for the expiration date. Tomorrow, October 14th. We have really good trading volume. We're working with raw database data, 8,685 Bitcoin. That's a really good number. I gave the correct data for October 13th, right? Yes, up to October 13th. Right now, the trading volume is very high, and yes, it's completely bearish. It's aiming for below 113,900, and we still haven't seen it. Right now, we're at 113,900. Well, actually, we got close once we came toward it. It wants to go below this flag that's formed. If we turn on the delta profit, you'll see it's ready for a drop from here. And from this macro level, we're looking at around 110,000, actually. You could say the delta is kind of indifferent. Look, it's been moving very flat and level. But below 110, we could actually see a sharp move downward, according to the database. We're checking the process data. This one is showing the same thing. This database is also showing the same thing, although the upper Yeah, they're not really decisive. It doesn't seem like they're that significant, honestly. So here as well, you can see that in the process database, we're trending downward, and this downward movement also started from that same 116,400. You can see it continues, and with that same 112 here at the end of the delta, where it flattens out, it reaches 111,300 or 400. So these areas could be our first target. If I set the open interest to 1, again you can see the downward trend is still dominant, so it doesn't really make much difference which filter we use. Actually, let's refresh again and set it to 14. So both databases are telling us the same thing. Let's move on to drawing the indicator and the zones. Well, as you can see, the upper agreement is at the intersection point of the two curves, 118,900, which is at a loss. It's really at a loss. The lower agreement, though, is profitable at 112,970 and 113, which is close to that 112 we talked about earlier. And it's profitable, and actually the lower zone that results from the intersection of these curves with the fast trend line, you can see that it's an agreement zone. That means sellers don't want anything below 112,500, and buyers want anything below 113,300. So this is a place where we can expect the price to be seen more often, and its average is about 113. But at the top, we have a disagreement. Sellers don't want anything above 122,700, but buyers want above 126,000. There's a big disagreement up here, which actually means the chance of the price being in this zone is lower. Let's enter the points into the indicator and come back. Well, friends, as you can see, it's really interesting. The indicator has started to turn. So now our prediction for tomorrow, well, when I say tomorrow, we have to allow for some tolerance, maybe a day or two deviation. The outlook for the next couple of days is bullish. Right now, the price has moved from our red curve and reached our green curve, and the price is turning. But still, the correction that we might have down to 112 is on the table. In my opinion, there's no opposition to this upward move. This upward move could show that we might expect support from this bottom, expect support from this trend line, which comes out to about 112,500. Let's update the zones and come back. Okay, the zones have been updated. As you can see, the zones are moving upward. Our lower zone, which was in profit and was the agreement area, look where it has landed. It's come right onto the trend line of this bullish face. I'm just saying this based on my own feeling, but it seems to me like this is repeating here. Look, here we had a dip, here we had a move downward, the RSI went into the oversold area. Then there was a pause, it bounced back up. Then another drop down, took support from the trend line, played around a bit here, and then moved upward. With this strong move, we brought the RSI into the upper area, and here it bounced back up, broke the moving average, and went above it. Now, if it dips again, maybe down to 12 or a bit lower, takes support from here, and then moves up. This rotation that we've seen in our own indicator, the TLS indicator, which shows an upward trend rotation, but this correction within the trend doesn't contradict that. So, it seems like we're turning upward, and because of this upward turn, I think we can hope for support from this bottom. And at the top, our upper zone is around 117,800 to 126,000. Our lower zone is about 112,500 to 113,200. And our maximum profit and loss is another line at 115,000, which is where the price is currently spending time. Alright, that's it for our zones. I'm going to put the contracts back where they belong, activate the short contracts, and restore the main shape of the curve and take a look at the delta and gamma. Look, as we move upward, we have a gamma at 117,300. This is our ceiling. Notice at 117,600 we have a short gamma where the call seller is the taker here, and on the other side the market maker is the long gamma at 117,600. So 117,600 marks the start of the upper zone's floor. Here the market maker is positioned against this taker who is the call buyer. The call buyer has a positive delta, so when the price reaches this point, it acts as resistance and likely pushes the price down. The market maker will probably sell to hedge their positive delta. Ahead of us, we have a small gamma at 113,700, but our main gamma down below is here at 104,000, which is a short gamma for 104,000 is really low down here. With the shadow we've seen, nothing is out of the question anymore. We might even come back down to 100,000 again. Now, the important points we can identify, look, moving upward, there's this intersection of two gammas and delta at 115,700. Here we have the gamma. Then again, there's a gamma and delta intersection at 119,500. And here, a change in the gamma slope at 121,400. Moving downward, we have this peak in gamma at 113,700. Again, there's a lower level in gamma at 111,800. And here, this intersection between gamma and the red curve at 110,400. All of these are important levels. Here, delta starts to go down. Here, delta enters an ascending phase for its downward move, which is at 107,500. And finally, here where our gamma peaks are, and for these are all important points we can mention. Okay, let me make this window smaller so we can keep it. All right. Let's take a look at the October 15th expiry. If I add the October 15th perm, you'll see that nothing really changes. There isn't a huge volume of poison there. The same bearish outlook still dominates. If we remove today, October 15th alone is just 700 Bitcoin, which is a very small volume. Look, again, it's basically a sell call situation. The message is that we've hit the ceiling right around here, 116, 117, and 500 are the ceilings. So again, you see here the delta can go up to 108. From where we are right now up to 108, the delta is increasing. That means the price is facing an increase in delta, meaning we're seeing put selling up to 108, 107, 108, which is a well-known and important floor for us that can act as support. So we can still expect this move downward. Now, let's see what the incoming trades for Friday, October 17th, look like today. As you can see, there's a possibility for movement in both directions. The heavy gamma zones, where most of the trading money is concentrated, are around 116 and actually 200 for October 17th. If we move the trades forward, you'll see that the most recent trades in the last hour have had a bearish tendency. Again, you can see that the trades in the last hour are mostly favoring a correction at the 108 gamma level. Here, at the start of the move, delta is heading downward, meaning a price drop along with a decrease in delta, which indicates put buying, so a move downward. Here on the upside, you see that a price increase has been met with a decrease in delta, which means call selling. In other words, we've seen a ceiling. The average here, the main money, is at 121. The reason now. So here, the overall outlook for this past hour, specifically for Friday, is still predominantly corrective. All right, let's go back to October 14th, which is tomorrow. A breakdown of trades: 8,685 Bitcoins, of which 4,365 were call buys, 1,462 were call buys from Kale, and 2,900 were put buys from POT. Put buys are much higher, which you should note since we're looking at raw database data. Most of these are probably for hedging and insurance purposes. But still, it sends a message. Even those who are buying puts for hedging are worried about a drop, which means they're anticipating a possible decline. In the past hour, we've seen bullish moves, but if we go back about 20 hours, that's 5 candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were on this candle where trades were coming in and there was volatility, but not much movement in a specific direction. The call buyers were expecting profits above 116,500. And if we calculate from here on this candle, we went up to 116,116. So, to some extent, you could say the calls were realized. As for the puts, their target is 113,400 and below, which was also somewhat reached. On this red candle, we saw 113,600. So, we've had moves in both directions, but the main move hasn't happened yet. You can see a flag pattern has formed. There's volatility here, and the price direction isn't clearly defined yet. But you can see that put buying is clearly dominant, so we can attribute the dominance to the bearish side. Looking at the sellers, 4,319 Bitcoins sold, 2,294 Bitcoins sold as calls, 2,025 Bitcoins sold as puts. These numbers are very close. Call sales are just a bit higher by 100 or 200 Bitcoins. And where did the call sellers see the ceiling? 116,500. Since we went up to 116, it means sellers didn't want it to go any higher than that, so you could say that's been realized. On the other hand, put sellers saw the floor below 113,400, so the volatility here has touched both the ceiling and the floor. But as you can see, there are more call sellers here, which gives us a bearish outlook. They see the ceiling for this bullish move. And on the other side, the number of put buyers is much higher, which again suggests the likelihood of a downward move. A bearish move can be expected here, but just keep one thing in mind. If we draw a trend line from these points, you'll see that we could still go up to 118 for a touch of this trend line. So keep that in mind. It's possible this is a flag pattern, a setup for a move toward 118, and after hitting 118, we might touch this trend line and then pull back to the lower trend line. So we need to consider that as well. Alright, that's the perspective of buyers and sellers. Let's look at the process database, which is interesting. In the process database, you can see that with 6,870 Bitcoin, the bias is to the downside. The curve slopes down much more sharply in the profit zone. If we move forward, it becomes a bit more balanced, but the bearish area is still dominant. Alright, okay, let's see what we have in terms of large size trades, 20 Bitcoin. As you can see, the bearish side is still dominant. Not at 25, we need to go higher. 30 Bitcoin, 34 trades, 50 Bitcoin trades, 100 Bitcoin. We have 15 trades of 100 Bitcoin for tomorrow. These are really important. They've been observed on both sides. Take a look at the gamma. We have 3 gammas. There's one gamma at 124, one at 114, and one at 104. Now let's see what the strategy is here. These two have the same number of block trades, which is interesting. 200 Bitcoin, a bearish spread. 200 Bitcoin, a bearish spread for tomorrow. It's targeting that 112 we mentioned, aiming for it with maximum momentum to the downside, with maximum momentum around 112. That's one case. Here too, it's taken a bearish spread position, 200 Bitcoin. So in total, we have 400 Bitcoin in bearish spreads here, targeting 112, 111, and 800 for tomorrow again. We have this one, and this one. Now, these are different from each other. I'll turn this one off. There's a long strangle here, 300 Bitcoin long strangle. It's covering a really wide range from 104 to 127. So basically, this trader is expecting a big swing with 300 Bitcoin, betting on a strong move in either direction. Here again, we have another long strangle showing the same numbers. Again, it's a long strangle from 104 to 123, betting the price breaks out. Once more, a long strangle, 400 Bitcoin. All these long strangles show that we're at a critical point, meaning there's uncertainty, and the market direction isn't clear. Even the big, major traders can't make up their minds. Here again, it's a long strangle, but look here. Sorry, this one. These 4, meaning 400 Bitcoin, were done as 4 block trades using a bearish spread strategy. From this, we can infer a move down to around 111,500, which matches the scenario we laid out. Let's move on to the liquidation heat map and the 24-hour view. Look, the liquidity is concentrated above, around 116,500 to 117, even up to 118, right along the trend line we drew here. We mentioned that there's a liquidity gap in this area. There's also liquidity below, which just by eyeballing it is a bit more than above. The key point is that liquidity below is a more accessible target for price right now, closer to 112,800 or 112,400. Let's switch to the 48-hour view. The 48-hour view. Yes, as you can see, we have more liquidity below, and you could say it's closer to the price. Above, at 116,300 up to a maximum of 117,800, there's a bit of liquidity that could attract the price. That is, with this flag that's formed here, you should expect that we might make another high up to 117, up to this gamma. These gamma levels we have here, 117,600, and then move downward. So, as the final scenario, I think, considering the spread we've seen and those strategies, we could see a move toward 111,000 or 112,000. I'm raising this a bit higher because of the liquidity we have above and this flag that's pretty much formed here, and the stance that the RSI has taken. We can expect that, due to the possibility of a stop hunt, the price might come up to this gamma long and then actually move downward. Otherwise, the main direction is still downward. However, since our indicators have also turned upward, I think we can expect support around 111,000 or 112,000. Just like here, where we found support, we might be able to get support again from this ascending wedge line and move upward. Thank you for your attention. I hope this has been helpful.